Hi and welcome back to my channel for another art journaling video. Today I'm creating again a collage in one of my handmade journals, and I'm using leftover papers, old book pages and cutouts from my watercolor practice sheets. I'm sticking down my papers with a glue stick. I'm using the Tombow glue stick because in my opinion it's one of the best. The paper doesn't wrinkle and you don't get so many of that glue on the back side of the paper, and it also don't dries out when you leave it open. There will just dry the top and you can remove it and then it will work perfectly again. It's maybe more a junk journaling process than an art journaling process, or maybe it's just a mixture of it. But it's a great way to use up all these nice leftover bits and pieces you have laying around. And also, as I'm practicing watercolors lately a lot, I have many practice paintings laying around and I have no idea what to do with them. I don't want to store them in the cupboard forever and I don't want to hang them on my wall. And so I decided to cut those up and use them in my art journal. When I'm done with gluing down all the papers, I add a layer of gesso and I use a palette knife for that because it adds a really interesting and nice texture. When the gesso is dry, I add some stamping, and I'm using some of my brand new stamps. They are not released yet, but they will be released next weekend over at Rubber Dance. And I just add them to create some texture, and I think these loose florals match perfectly the watercolor paintings. I'm using StazOn ink because I want to go on top with watercolors later in the process. I have a lot of pieces laying here, and before I glue them down I lay them on my pages and have a look what I like best. What often helps is when you don't only look on your page. It's always good to take a photo, for example, of the page or of the different arrangements, and you will see better what looks good and what doesn't. What I am doing a lot, because I'm filming and I don't have a photo because I'm filming with my smartphone, I look through the camera onto my page, and that is a really different view in comparison to looking directly on the page. If you're interested in how I painted those florals, I have also a video linked up in the top right corner info box. I decide to add some additional stamping to the background. This always creates more interest. And I'm using the bingo card from the Wanna Bet stamp set. I did some other collages lately and I have the videos linked up in the top right corner info box of your video screen. This kind of creative art is also a good way when you have no mojo and no ideas. You just pick the things you already have created and stick them down to a page, and of course sometimes the result is not as pleasing. I have some collages I don't show because I think they look pretty ugly, but you always learn something during the process, and often the pages turn out really interesting. I decided to cut 3 circles from that black dot pattern, and that's something I always do when I have a special pattern or color on my page. I go for repetition and add the same thing anywhere else on the page, because the viewer's eye will automatically search for these eye catchers on the page. Here I'm going in with a graphite pencil and create some scribbles on my page. I now go in with a black watercolor pencil. This is one from Faber-Castell and it's my favorite one because it's a jumbo pencil and it works pretty good when you dip the nib into water. You get that really deep black grungy line. I'm now adding some of my watercolors. I use the same colors that are already on the page. I'm using that orange and pink and also some of the greens. And for more interest and a higher contrast, I'm going in with a little bit blue for the background, and that blue is a complementary color to the orange and makes everything look more interesting. One of my favorite textures are stitching lines, stitching borders. So I'm using the Rubber Dance Grungy Borders to add some faux stitching to the page. Here you can see the finished spread. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope we see us next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!